Cuphead. Cuphead is a 2017 video game that pays homage to 1930s cartoons, and it is one of the most infamous games of all time because, let's be real, this game is hard as balls.
So we can expect brutal difficulty and twitch reflexes to succeed here?
100%.
And because of the impact that this one little game made by a small group of people until eventually it became a big project, it got universal praise from critics and gamers alike. It won several awards, it sold more than 6 million copies, and it managed to make a lot of merchandise, like seriously. Backpacks, t-shirts, you name it. You can't go anywhere without seeing Cuphead in some form of merchandise. Oh no, don't be like Minions, please. And like every single franchise before him, Cuphead not only got his second game, The Delicious Last Course, but he immediately got his own Netflix series, The Cuphead Show. I don't know about you, but I was pretty excited for this show because I love the Cuphead video game. And honestly, I was pretty intrigued to see what they would do with the show. But now that it's here, and in traditional Christian show fashion, we're going to look through every episode, give my overall opinion on each one, and then we're going to wrap it up with my overall thoughts. Narrator, if you please.
This match will get red hot. Now go!
Cuphead decides to double down and go to a carnival with Mugman instead of painting the fence like they were supposed to. Unbeknownst to them, the devil is taking people's souls with this game called Soul Ball.
And I believe you owe me a soul ball.
Take it. I've got a billion just like it.
The first episode, I think, does a good job of introducing us to the characters, the world, and the feel of Cuphead. The animation in this show looks pretty fantastic, and throughout the show, there are multiple musical numbers. The devil gets his first musical number, and I think it's pretty good. And I also think that the characters are well handled too. You have Cuphead, who's the adventure seeker, Mugman, who's the more cowardly yet logical thinking mind of the duo, Elder Kettle, who acts as the boys' guardians, and you got the devil, who is more flamboyant in this show than the game, which is something that I very much love. So yeah, I think this is a good start to the show. Cuphead and Mugman find a baby on their doorstep, and decide to take care of it, but they slowly start to discover that the baby isn't as innocent as it seems. It's one of those predictable episodes where the innocent character does something horrible and then the main character gets blamed for it. And while this one doesn't follow the formula beat for beat, it's still a pretty weak episode. I respect the Cuphead writers for not ending the episode with Elder Kettle getting pissed off at the boys for breaking the radio. Because I'm pretty sure they looked back on 1930s cartoons and I'm pretty sure they picked up on how to not end an episode or a short. So I'll give you credit there, but it's still a weak episode for me. Cuphead and Mugman get pissed off at each other because Mugman ate ice cream in his sleep. So while they're wandering around, they end up going into a club and it's hosted by, hey look, it's Ribbity and Croaks. Yeah, those guys were pretty easy, but not on expert mode, like what the fuck. So Cuphead and Mugman sneak into the club so that they can get some ice cream. Originally they were going to pay, but they charge people $20 for entry fee. Much like the devil, Ribbity and Croaks have their own musical number, and it gives us a little background as to what they were like before they started making this club. And it gives a nice little message on how you should always appreciate your family, even if they're annoying as hell. And is it me, or was I the only one that wanted to see a fight in here? I don't know. There's kind of a me thing. But whatever, I still find this episode to be pretty good. After the two play their little game, Mugman's handle breaks off, so for the entire episode, Cuphead tries to help him put it back on. That is until Elder Kettle comes in to tell them about the Kettle Fairy. Basically the Tooth Fairy. Honestly, when I first saw this episode, I was immediately reminded of the Hot Diggity Demon sketch. It's a fine one, not one of the more funnier episodes, but I thought it was decent. I did like that Porcupine makes an appearance in this episode, and I did like the ending. Other than that, it's fine. Hey look, King Dice. I remember him. His boss fight was long, tedious, and annoying. Cuphead and Mugman make it onto King Dice's show, but the thing they don't know is that the show is rigged, and to no one's shock, it turns out that King Dice is working for the devil. I liked how King Dice makes an appearance in this episode, but I will admit it is a little dull. It's just Cuphead constantly getting the answers wrong, and King Dice constantly letting it slide just so he can send Cuphead to the devil. I did find it funny that the devil replaced Dice with the devil's lackey. That was pretty funny. Dull episode though. I think there was a musical number in here, but even then it was pretty forgettable. While traveling late at night, Cuphead and Mugman find themselves in an ancient graveyard, and while they're there, a bunch of ghosts decide to give them a little scare, especially after Cuphead says that ghosts aren't real. Honestly, it's one of the best episodes of the season. Sure, it's the typical characters hanging out at night in a graveyard, but honestly, the animation in this one is so good that it doesn't really matter. Seeing these ghosts constantly mess with the boys is pretty entertaining, and hell, even the musical number in here is pretty good too. So all around, a pretty good episode, and honestly, the best of the season. Cuphead and Mugman have to protect Elder Kettle's vegetable garden from the Root Pack, the easiest bosses in the entire game. This is another instance where the episode could have ended on a bad note, but it ends on a pretty funny note with Elder Kettle wanting to kill the Root Pack because he thinks they're his garden. Honestly, this was another episode I had a pretty fun time with, and it took something you would see regularly messed up in other shows, and they executed pretty well here. So yeah, good job you guys. Hey look, they reused the same animation from the first episode. Cuphead starts to have nightmares about the devil trying to take his soul, so Mugman and him go to Quadratus so that he can give them a sweater that will keep the devil at bay. I find this episode fairly entertaining, especially when the devil is just trying to have a good time in hell, and there's this character that constantly keeps nagging him because he didn't get Cuphead's soul. And I find it pretty heartwarming that Mugman is going all out to make sure that his brother doesn't get his soul taken away from him. So yeah, I think this is another good episode. The devil tries to get the sweater off of Cuphead so that he can take his soul. I like how the devil goes this deep to paint the fence, and Cuphead and Mugman aren't even there because they're at the carnival. That was pretty funny. And there's lots of entertaining moments in this episode. And there's a pretty nice moment where the devil and Cuphead start to bond with each other. And I thought the way they took out the devil in this one is pretty brutal, because every time the devil touches the sweater, he gets electrocuted. So... oh boy. That's tough. But I think it's another episode on the same level as the last one. Porcupine sends Cuphead and Mugman out on a dangerous errand, and while going on this errand, Mugman tries to be much braver. I like how the roles flip in this episode. Usually it's Cuphead who's the adventurer type and Mugman who's the coward. Now Mugman is the much more confident character, while Cuphead is constantly getting his ass whooped. Hell, we even get a cameo from the three-headed dragon. That guy was terrible. I hated that boss fight. That boss fight is garbage. But yeah, another good episode with the roles reversed. Elder Kettle overhears Cuphead and Mugman's conversations, and he starts to believe that the boys are trying to put him out of commission because he's too old, when in actuality they're talking about their pet worm. Another generic episode with a character mishearing another character, thinking they're talking about them when in actuality they're not, and as a result that character blows the whole situation out of proportion. I've seen this done multiple times in a variety of different shows. It's average, but I wouldn't say it's bad though. Cuphead and Mugman end up hanging out with a girl called Ms. Chalice, a troublemaker that pretty much gets everyone around her to give her exactly what she wants. I like how Ms. Chalice is characterized in this episode. From the games I thought she was good, but in this episode she's actually a thief who uses her tap dancing skills and adorableness to get whatever she wants. And I will admit that seeing Cuphead, Mugman, and Ms. Chalice hang out is pretty nice, but there's only one downside to this episode. Like every other Netflix show before this one, it ends on a goddamn cliffhanger. You think it keeps the audience engaged, Netflix? It doesn't. It just pisses them off to know that they have to wait another year to see the next episode. Sometimes it takes an entire year, or even 2 years to get the next season, judging on how high your animation costs. Looking at you, Arcane. But as it stands, I think it's a pretty good episode. Now, let's rank all these bastards. So after watching every single episode, I say the Cuphead TV show is off to a good start. With wonderful animation that stays true to the style of 1930s cartoons, characters that are pretty enjoyable to watch, and episodes that I think manage to be pretty entertaining in their own right. So yeah, I think this show is pretty good. Sure, it doesn't have a long arcing story, like dumbass critics on Rotten Tomatoes say, but it doesn't need to. The show and franchise has literally built itself on being a homage to 1930s cartoons, and I don't remember them having overarching stories or character arcs or story arcs or anything like that. Anyway, if you guys love Cuphead, I think you'll get a kick out of the show. You'll like the animation, you'll love some of the funny moments and music that's in here, and if I would give the show a rating, I would give it an 8 out of 10. I hope you guys liked my video. If you did, please tell me what you think about Cuphead. Do you like the game? Do you like the show? Tell me in the comment section below. Wow, that unintentionally rhymed. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
You'll never catch me crying over milk I spill. My head ain't empty, but who knows with what it's filled. I took that devilish gamble.